Let's talk to Chris Haynes, senior NBA insider and host of the Haynes Briefs show on YouTube. He is covering the Bucks and Pacers, and then he's going to go to the Rockets and the Warriors. Worst first-round loss so far, turned in by who?
Well, I mean, I think you definitely got. I mean, the worst. I think you say the worst by a point differential. You could say the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, the way they lost to Oklahoma City, but I think most people believe that Oklahoma City is going to get out of the first round relatively unscathed. But the team you just talked about right now, the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves, even though that's not, I understand the Lakers have the higher seed, but I think that's a pretty even matchup. And I think when you look at the athleticism, you look at the dog of Anthony Edwards, and you just look how they went into LA and took care of business in the threes. Those threes were opened up by driving penetration, over helping. Anthony Edwards would be able to get to wherever he wanted to get to on the court, and it was setting up guys, and guys found the rhythm. And once they found it, they didn't let go of that rhythm. So the Lakers have some issues for sure.
The Memphis loss, like, it was laughable. Like, after a while, you're just going, I mean, does Memphis have any pride here? And I know we see teams turn it around, get blown out, and then they come back and they'll make it competitive, maybe win that game. But OKC seems to have learned something from last year. Like, it feels like they understand, how to be a playoff team. I don't know if you have them going to the NBA Finals.
Put me on the spot, DP. I haven't made a selection. Nobody's ever asked me yet for my prediction. I got them in the conference
wait. You
finals
know the
for
playoffs have started, though, Chris. You know how this works. You can't wait till,
Well, usually DP. That's how it works. Like, if you don't get asked, the better, because now you get to see these games go on. You get to see a trend, and then they might ask you in the semifinals round. Then I'll have a better gauge. Then I'll look much more smarter and brighter then.
Okay,
but
give me your two favorites to win the title. Two favorites. I would say OKC come out the West and Boston to come out the East. Okay, then give me your other two following them.
The other two, I would have to go with. God, it's tough. I want to say Denver. I want to, but there's been so much. The team is different. Changing of a coach. I think that series with the Clippers is going to go 7 games. I don't know who's coming out. I want to say Denver, DP. Don't hold me to that. Please don't hold me to that. I want to say Denver. But in the East, I understand Cleveland had the best record over there for the most part. Oh, boy. There are about a few other teams that I can see making noise in the East. I think if New York gets on a run, they can do some things. I think if Damian Lillard gets back, I think the Bucks and Giannis can do some things. It's tougher in the East for me, DP. I will say between New York and Milwaukee.
A team not in the playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks, the Trey Young situation. You look at his numbers and you go, God, those are great numbers. But I don't know what kind of player he is. I mean, I can watch him play, but it just seems like he's going to put up really good numbers for a team that nobody really cares about. And I wonder, does he need to be on another team to show how good he can really be? How clutch he can be, playing in big moments. And I don't know, like Dame Lillard, and maybe it's not a fair comparison, but we'd look at Dame and go, God, he's playing great in meaningless games for the most part. And then all of a sudden he gets traded, and it's at the latter part of his career. I don't know if the Hawks are at that point where they go, maybe we're better off without Trae Young. What do you think?
So I had Trae on my show, the Haynes Brief Show on YouTube. Everybody check it out. I had him on my show last week, and I asked him about that, DP, just about where he's at with the organization, with his career. And he said he's in a good spot. He said he knew that there was going to be speculation once the Hawks went to a younger core, had the number 1 pick. He knew there was going to be speculation about his future, but he said he bought in. He took the, Zach number 1 pick. He brought him to his hometown of Oklahoma. to show him around and spend some time with him right after Zach was drafted, just to get him engaged. And so he's somebody who, again, just told to me about a week and a half ago that he's down with the process. He wants to see this Atlanta Hawks squad turn the corner, and he wants to be a pivotal part in that. And then DP, he changed his game this past season. Like, he was more, I think we know that Trae's a great facilitator, but he modified his game. Like, it wasn't just shoot first Trae. You know, this was a guy who was getting guys involved. And so that speaks to his maturity, and that speaks to, you know, him trying to empower his teammates. But with that being said, there definitely are teams out there who are monitoring his situation and trying to see if there's going to become a point this offseason where that he can be had and where he can be moved, because he's definitely a guy who Trae is one of the most competitive guys in this league. When he went to that conference finals a few years ago, played against he wanted to continue on. He wanted the organization to do things, to make moves, to keep the team on a trajectory. Now, they took a little back step, in recent years. He wants to get back to that point. But as of now, DP, I can say I haven't heard anything on Trae's side that will lead me to believe that he wants out right now.
Will Giannis finish his career in Milwaukee?
I don't think so. I just, this is going to be a pivotal playoff. These 2025 playoffs for the Milwaukee Bucks. It's going to be pivotal. If they don't get to the finals, win the finals, or even make a deep run, you can probably see some wholesale changes going on in Milwaukee. You can go from coaching staff, from front office to the players. Like, it can be a pretty big, significant wholesale if the Milwaukee Bucks don't make a significant run this postseason.
Could you see them trading Giannis?
I could see them going in a different direction, and yeah, I can see that possibility if things go sour this postseason, for sure.
He's Chris Haynes, senior NBA insider, host of the Haynes Briefs show on YouTube. He's covering Bucks Pacers for Game 2 and then heading to the Rockets and the Warriors. The Warriors winning the game against Houston, and then we see that playoff experience that they have. And Golden State, to me, is a fascinating situation, because can you do this? Can you win 4 games? Can that group, because that's what it takes. Every one of these series, you can say, are you able to win 4? And I think they could go to the Western Conference Finals, and I don't know if anybody would be surprised, but would you be more surprised if the Warriors went to the Western Conference Finals or the Lakers did?
I would be more surprised if the Lakers went to the Western Conference Finals, because the Golden State Warriors, they still have their nucleus in place, and they've upgraded in Jimmy Butler, somebody who fits seamlessly in what they're trying to do on the offensive end and defensive end. The Lakers, we knew there was going to be some growing pains. You're talking about 2 Hall of Fame basketball players, but they have very similar ways of playing the game, and they both require the ball. And it's worked better than what I thought when I'm talking about LeBron James and Luka Doncic. But when you're talking about Golden State, man, they're just plugging in. Jimmy Butler was somebody who could fit in. You saw what he did, clutch baskets after clutch baskets, making plays. And he's somebody that doesn't have to take a lot of shots to be efficient. And so I think if I'm talking about the Lakers and Warriors, I think the Warriors will have an easier path to get to the finals than the Lakers.
Best tandem in basketball right now is who?
Are we talking about tandems in the playoffs or overall?
Let's do playoffs.
DP, you know what, DP? You're really good at what you do, because this is why you get a lot out of Charles Barkley. You know how to answer. You know how to ask the right questions. You never know what you're going to ask, and it requires an answer. So let me say.
Now, you were stalling with the compliment. I'd see right through you, Chris. Okay.
That's why you DP.
I know how this works here.
That's why you DP.
Do you think there's a better tandem not in the playoffs than in the playoffs?
No, I can't say that.
Okay.
No, and I will get ridiculed for even saying there's a better tandem that's not in the playoffs, because if they were, they would be in the playoffs.
Well, you were stalling once again by saying regular season, playoffs. Okay.
Allow me to go. I don't want to disrespect the champions. allow me to go Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
Is that safe? Is that a safe answer, DP?
Yeah, but I don't want safe. Do you really feel that? Right now, the best tandem in basketball is Tatum and Brown over Jimmy, Steph, Luka, LeBron.
The best talent in basketball, pound for pound, is
No, we're
LeBron.
not doing pound for pound. We're just best tandem. Will you stop? You're better than this.
DP, LeBron, Luka.
Okay, there. See, that's not that hard.
It actually was, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Which team did the best job of tanking for Cooper Flag?
Ooh, you know what? It was a lot of teams that had a really good job. I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz. They let it be known pretty early on. They put out a release and just basically said these 7 guys aren't playing for the rest of the season. It was these minor injuries and stuff.
The NBA awards season, you have to play at least 65 games. I was wondering, Jaren Jackson Jr., I thought was going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. He's not one of the finalists here.
How many games did he play?
He played 74, but he's not one of them. So
yeah.
It wasn't even one of those where, because he gets that super max deal if he wins Defensive Player of the Year again.
It's tough.
And I thought with Victor Wembanyama out, then he was the favorite. He's not even one of the, I got Dyson Daniels, Draymond Green. Oh, come on.
Evan Mobley.
What do we put Draymond in there?
Well, hey, DP, Draymond's had a phenomenal season defensively. DP?
I know. But
Dyson Daniels leads the league in steals. Evan Mobley, I would have, I felt like all along Evan Mobley might have been the front runner to win the award. What he's done with Cleveland.
I think he's going to win it.
Yeah, I do think so. I think so as well. I think he's the favorite. But Jaren Jackson, this was a tough one this year. And DP, I'm telling you, I don't have a vote this season, which I'm glad, because DP, around this time, players that have those clauses in their contract, they start to call me around the last 2 weeks of the season. Hey, my situation, who you voting for? And it just puts me in a tough spot. I'm not going to name names, but I've had multiple players call me constantly over the last 2 weeks of the season just to get a gauge. And I'm like, damn, man, that's a tough spot to be in.
Anybody try to buy your vote, like saying, hey, Chris, man, I got these new Jordans, and what size do you wear? And or, hey, why don't you go out to dinner? Maybe go to Cabo. I'll make sure you take care of you.
No, they haven't said that. They haven't tried to buy it. But what they did do, they do try to propose an appearance. You know what? Hey, the way they say it, like, hey, you know what? You have a nice show. I could think about coming on if.
Great to talk to you.
DP, anytime, man. You take care, brother.
Best tandem in the NBA is who?
Luka and LeBron, DP.
All right. Just want to make sure. Thank you, Chris.